Hi, I'm Britton LaRue, and this is Moon to Moon. Moon to Moon is a space to consider, celebrate, and share the ways we come home to ourselves, anchor through change, and uncover our power. 1 month, one phase, one loving step at a time. Hello, Moon to Moon. How are you under this dark moon? The dark moon of the new moon in Aries cycle. As you can hear in my voice, I've fallen sick again in 2025. I was sick at the beginning of March. This one was different. It was some kind of fever. And it was really intense. Came on really fast and then started to pass really fast. I went into like full-blown altered state with the fever. And just slowly getting my energy back and holding a cough again. And definitely not fun, but just inviting myself to be a little slow again. It seems to be a big theme of 2025 that there's regularly less capacity. There's like less space, less energy, less room, time. And I feel that, I don't know about you, but I feel too deep in the context of 2025 to really be able to articulate wisdom about what I'm learning, but it's definitely challenging how I think I do business. And it feels like a lot of nodal lessons for me in that way, since Virgo, where the South Node is my 6th house. And I just have ways I like to work and what I think I need in order to show up how I want to show up. And just kind of one thing after the next, been really challenged there. And it's humbling. It's very humbling. So here I am at the end of this lunar cycle. It's been a deep one, a deep roll. And I have some reflections, and this message is going to come through as both a traditional dark moon downlog. Oh, that's fun. Where I just kind of let roll the insights and the experience in trust that it'll meet those it's meant for. But it's also going to serve as the first of a series that I'm putting out on the chapters of my career emergence. And this is really coming forward in part because April 2025 marks 7 years, which is a Saturn cycle, since my very first client. April of 2018, I had my first ever exchange with another human being in contract where money was involved. And 2018 was like the beginning of my career. So in the summer 2018 is when I started my Instagram account. And then in the fall of 2018 is when I started my newsletter. So 2018 was a big year of emerging into visibility in a new way of myself, like a new form of myself. And I was reflecting on my career, and I was seeing how there were really different chapters from the beginning to where I am now, where I could really notice that like, it was right around there that there was a shift. And that shift would then be marked by like new challenges, new learning experiences, new confrontations with myself, new awareness of desire that was previously unseen. And each of these chapters really have their own like kind of learning journeys, I would say. And I thought that it would be both fun for me, but also helpful to listeners for me to contemplate that a bit and see if I can try to condense or summarize some of the like core things that I'm really glad that I was moving through, because they became central to like new layers of emergence later. But I couldn't have known where I was going at the time, ever. I just knew that that's what I was being confronted with. So I was with what was. But I see now, looking back, that at every stage I was moving through things so that I could be moving towards these next things. And I think that speaking this could be supportive for all of y'all on your own paths. And I want to begin by really feeling into the chapter before what you could call like the visible transfiguration, like the visible changing how I show up on the public planes, because all of that more private, internal, under the surface of visibility shift that was happening was really, I would say, the quickening, the quickening, like, we can think about, I like that word as it associates to Imbolc, which is what we can call the cross-quarter holiday between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, Candlemas, February 1st. I think of that celebration as very much about the quickening of the planets, aliveness under the surface that we know is there, even if we don't have the visible proof, the tangible outcomes, the hard evidence. But it's still happening. And it's because of that happening that later we get the evidence in the hard form, And so I want to spend some time contemplating the the quickening that I was moving through in the 2 years before my first client, to share with you like how important those things were, because I do a Q&A thing with my group mentorship container, UTD, Underdog to Diva, which, by the way, will be opening again mid-May. So if you've been wanting to join that one, we're opening again soon. I only take up to 18. Stay tuned. So on the weeks we don't meet, I record a Q&A answering anything anyone wants to ask me, from high level to very micro. And I got a wonderful question about just how do you channel all this stuff? Like, how did you build this body of work? What supports you? And the real key part there was this question about support. Because when I really reflect on those 2 years before my first ever client, it was all of the things that were getting laid down in the quickening period that became the support system for everything that was to come later, that to this day, I would say, are the things that support me. Some of it's changed. Some of it's like the face of the things have changed. My relationship to some of these things has changed. But as you'll see, the core pieces were set into motion all before I ever even had what you could point to as this career. It's been a deep time of reflection for me, this lunar cycle. I knew it would be when the primary card in my new moon spread was the Six of Cups. For years, that card has come to mean it really came through in a reading from Mallory Dowd years ago. Mallory is an incredible tarot sage who was in the first ever Magician's Table. She was also in 2024. And my guides really like her. They like to talk to me through her voice, as they do through many others as well. And she became very emotional speaking about what they were telling her with that card. For me, she was using that, like, is it somnambulant tarot? Like, it's this very dreamy, photographic tarot where, like, there's, like, sheets over the people. I can't remember the name exactly. But there were these women working at a well, and they were, like, each doing a different task at the well in the joy of the ritual of getting water. And there's something very ancestral about the passing of the water. And it's very emotional to speak of. But it relates to me to this sense of being, like, deeply, deeply loved and provided for through the waters of mystery, human and non-human, family. And my month has really taken me week to week, experience to experience, into a remembering around this. And some of that has been, at the time, things I didn't want to do, like go to my grandmother's funeral, things I didn't want, like having a fever. These different experiences that have happened this month have brought me into contact with a remembering that comes more from altered time and altered states and getting outside of your usual day-to-day. And all of it actually brings me back to the beginnings of my career path, which is my mystical path, and all the places that it's been taking me, and all the ways that it gives to me, and all the ways that I give from it. It's been a lunar cycle where if I was busier, I might numb a bit to the evidence of the exquisite beauty that I feel in the spaces of my school, the wonder of the dream that my school is. The human beings in these spaces are just so beautiful. And the spirit in the room is just so bright and connecting and true and real. My work is my joy, and I try not to get too caught up in who comes and do they like it and am I doing a good job? Things that can sometimes get me confused in my relationship to the spirit of the thing. So now and then when I really notice like who comes and who listens, it's just really breathtaking. And when I think about who I was in the years of the quickening, and as I read my journals and see the dream of it beginning to form, it's just such a miracle. It's such a miracle. So really here in this moment, I'm feeling just tremendous gratitude and wonder that, I've grown so much, like from zero to where I am now in terms of like metrics and analytics, much less like the more subtle realm of just the emotions and the spirit that comes with being connected to so many incredible hearts incredible minds, human beings trying to show up sincerely. Sincerity has got to be the key word in my spaces. And they are messy, sincerely messy, and messily sincere. It's just really incredible. It's really incredible that I can have all that growth, but I don't feel any loss of the intimacy and the sweetness and the sincerity. And usually, that's been one of my great fears about growing, is that, I think we're taught that something will be lost. We just accept, yeah, there's going to be a loss. There's going to be a loss when you grow. And just that fear is real because it's an anticipation, And if we're anticipating, we're already bracing, and it's becoming inevitable, right? But I have always wanted to hold to what is here is not that, and I'm going to be with what is here, and what is here is sincere, and it is real, and it is beautiful. And so it has become so that I feel that with growth, things have actually become more beautiful and more intimate. So I just want to say that for all of us out there who have been indoctrinated in this idea that bigger is not better, that, growth is going to have consequences. We have plenty of evidence of that. We have tons of evidence of this. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be true for you. And I think what has really helped me to keep my business in the frequency that I want it to be in is really keeping myself constantly connected to the essence of the thing, which comes through the core things that I was learning in the quickening years. So that's sort of feeling like a prelude. What do you think? Okay. Yeah, just for all y'all listening, whether you're in a paid container or not, you're here. And you're part of this beautiful thing. You are all part of my dream. And it is a dream that is also collective. One of the things that I just really feel with these spaces that I have is it's just so special to be able to be together this way, And it's everything I always wanted from human relating. And it was the sadness of my younger self that I didn't feel I was finding this. So the message is, if you know it exists because it exists in you, you can then create the space from that inside out. And folks will come to it who also have it in them and long to engage in that shared frequency. All right. So, when I feel into the, what led to the first client, The story I often really tell is about how the moon started talking to me. And that was really, a year in. That it was at least a year of under the surface shifts happening. To even be in a place where I have the self-authority to be like, yeah, the moon is talking to me. Like, you gotta already have been doing some inner landscaping to be that, to even see that that's happening and to be able to name it, So what was it, And I think some of what I want to share is like from my own unique privilege. So it's like not everyone can sell all their stuff and move to Hawaii, But there's a literal component to that and a symbolic component to that can be energetically and physically in some ways mapped to your reality if you're interested in this or if it resonates for you. Because I don't know that the moon could have started talking to me if I hadn't actually gotten out from under so much heaviness from the stuff, the physical stuff that I'd accumulated through the years of raising small children in my marriage. I have always been someone who'd rather declutter my spiritual and emotional life than her physical one. So there was a ton of backlog. But in 2016, at least half of everything under our roof was gone. We got rid of it. Maybe 70%. And that's significant spiritually. Moving through the labor of weeding through everything and getting rid of it, it made spaciousness possible at the outset of the story. Everything had just it was very much that I was buried under that stuff before. And underneath them, all these different beliefs and mindsets around mothers don't throw things out. You keep everything so your kids can see their artwork when they're adults, blah, blah, blah. Living with someone who is afraid to throw anything away and has stacks of magazines from 20 years ago in a closet, So getting rid of all that stuff was just the beginning. Just so that the body, mind, spirit has this sense of lightness, the sense of being able to move, And we had really gotten, it can be hard when you have young children to keep up with that stuff and just trying to get through the day-to-day of raising them while working on my PhD and adjunct teaching. Just so much had accumulated. I was very literally stuck, So that was a big thing. To have more room to breathe, to move, to listen. The other really significant thing that happened in that period, 2016, I started running. It's kind of wild because I looked it up once. My progress Mars moved into the 5th house of hobbies in Leo for me the same week I started running. So I started running and just kept running and just kept running and just kept running, so that when it came, when we moved into the period where I'm now in my separation and I'm studying astrology, but I haven't had my first client yet, I ran my first marathon. And the actual proof of strength was extremely important. There's something about running that provides this inarguable evidence of one's strength. I can't say I'm not a strong person when I just ran 17 miles. My brain couldn't stretch to hide the fact of my strength when I'm producing actual evidence that I am a really strong person. And so that was really important. It also was important because it was providing me a lot of rhythm that was for me. And it was not for my children. It was not for my husband. It was for me. I have a rhythm. This is the rhythm of my week. The rhythm of my week is boom, boom. Which days am I gonna run? There's rhythm in that. And core to my business, core to my magical life, core to everything that I do is identifying rhythms in my structures. Where's the rhythm? And running is a rhythm. It's just one foot down after the next. Dun, 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 dun. In order to grow your business, you have to have momentum. You have to stay in momentum. Yes, you can have ebbs. Yes, you have quiet periods, dark moons, fallow, less creative, less public, less outward facing. Yes, yes, yes. But in general, there's momentum. And staying in the momentum. And as an Aries rising, I didn't know I was Aries rising, but I knew that the running was helping. The rhythm, I just go. And when I get into that rhythm, my brain does something where other information starts to drop in that I don't normally hear. I don't normally see it. I don't normally feel so receptive. And so I started to see how my running practice was like a channeling time for me. So it was feeding me on all these levels, including my posture changed. The way I carry my body was changing. And all of that became a restructuring of how I see myself and understand how I stand in the world, how I move in the world. That has stayed with me. I'll go through periods where I'm not training for a marathon. I get out of my momentum. I've had injuries. But it was really more the larger sense of understanding that I like rhythm. I like momentum. I like being in my groove. And I most love when I have my running practice. A really huge shift began to happen with living in Hawaii, which is I had to reframe my relationship to time. I had come from a scenario where we knew what we were doing on a Friday night 3 months ahead. We had the babysitters lines up a month out, at least. We had a jam-packed social calendar. Weekends were we're going to go to the festival, and then we're going to go to the birthday party, then we're going to go to the soccer game, and then we're going to go to it was just constant. And we moved there, and socially, it was really frowned upon to be like, hey, you want to do something Friday? And people look at you like, can you ask me on Friday? And like, I actually would feel horror in my body around like, but I don't know what the plan is on Friday. Like, what's the plan going to be on Friday? And just like learning to like, release. I know this was I think a lot, we're collectively learning this in 2020. Just like, what do we do without plans, you know? Just like, whoa, how things just slow down. And then you realize like your favorite thing is actually open space. Like my favorite thing is actually not having a plan. It's just I found my time patterns in my body, you know? I found that the way time wants to live in my body, which is going to be different for everyone, so that once I became an entrepreneur, I could run my business in the time signatures that I like running everything in my body. And I don't have to do things with my body whenever I don't want to do those things. I can plan my week according to how I know my body likes to do things. And I can be a person who is like body led with her business. That was all in the quickening that began to get oriented. So the authority, it's like the body becoming the authority, which is really quite radical when I think about how deeply conditioned I was to shut off all information from my body, like it being hungry, like it being tired, like it's even mine and for me, like all of that, like Maui's a very magical place. Like I really felt that the island itself was detangling all of that and putting me back together again. And then I could just take that with me wherever I go now. So in this open space of being in a new place with more free time, I just was more open to new ideas, new ways of being. And that's when intuitive healing came into my life. I really began to learn about energy and intuition before I found astrology and the tarot. And this is so important to my story, to how I run things, is like my relationship to my guides and what I hear and see and know through my intuitive channels is everything. And so about 15 months before my first ever client, I started those classes. And it was like, whoa, like the information was coming in. I couldn't believe how quickly I could see and especially hear information. It was what? Like I didn't know I had any of this like ready to go. And very quickly began to send everybody's energy back to them, get it out of my space, and really become so much more aware of myself and my energy compared to other people's energy. Like, oh wait, this isn't mine. This is yours. And oh, I see what you're trying to get me to do with it. Everything just started to be like clear. It was like I could just see for the first time. And I just loved going to those classes because each week it was like a whole new world of skill set was opening up to me. And so many insights. And like finding out I have these guides, like never had even heard of this before. Finding out about co-regulating with the planet's energy, keeping things outside of my aura, closing my aura up. Like, whoa, just these completely life-changing. And so at the time that the moon started talking to me in July 17, I'm like in a place where I know that this is what's happening intuitively. And I'm available to listen because I'd been learning how to listen. And I'd learned how to be in a more spacious state with my time and with my body to be available to listening, to be approachable to the moon. I wasn't approachable before. And so as all of that opened, everything was just ready to just land. And, extricating myself from my marriage was then, another really huge piece of this kind of continuous clearing I was doing. Because removing myself from the contract meant I now make my own contract. I make my own contract with reality. I'm making my own contract with time, goals, body, being here, money. Everything gets to be my contract now. And then I knew the moon wanted me to be an apprentice. So immediately we moved back to Dallas. I was working with the moon almost every day. Deep rituals, deep self-contemplation, self-confrontation, deep questions, deep yearnings being named, deep desires being named, what I'm sick and fucking tired of being named. Am I willing to look at this? Yes. Am I willing to go underneath that? Yes. Week after week, phase after phase with the moon, guided by Sarah Faith Goddess Steiner's Many Moons workbooks and Achintya Devi's Moon Goddesses online temple group. So someone could teach me what it even is to be in a lunar ritual, what it even is to be in this relationship, and then taking that and running with it, creating my own ways, really shutting myself off from social life, and everything became my channel. And then now my intuitive healing group went long distance because now I'm not living there anymore. So I'm mostly listening to replays on my own solo time, taking in the meditations, letting them expand me, listening, journal. This is when journaling came in. Journaling about every ritual, everything I was learning, I was writing in my journal, including meetings with the psychologist who's going to help us with telling the kids about the divorce, the financial person who's going to help me understand how I'm going to live now financially and what a budget needs to be for me, and still thinking maybe I'm going to get a PhD still, but then finding astrology, getting my first tarot deck, My whole life is really about tuning in to trust, and at the same time cannot separate it. For the first time in my life, I'm having orgasms, and I'm treating my erotic self-discovery at least as seriously as I'm treating my spiritual self-discovery and my erotic relationship to myself becoming absolutely fascinating to me, and like taking on like a realm. It's a huge world of fascination, becoming fascinated with myself on every level. All of my journaling shows so much time with my inner children. This is before I was even hearing the term inner child healing. I go in my journal and it's all about me talking to different ages of myself. And they're all telling me things about future me. It was just such a mystical time that I was just doing that. And little me was an adolescent me and college age me and 20-something me telling me pictures about the me that was coming. So then I'm noting, like, my dream would be to have a magical business. My dream is going to be to help people find tools like I'm finding. My dream is that I can support people in the way I'm supporting myself. And then asking myself, like, what would be the next things I would need to do to be putting that forward? Really, really, really powerful. One of the coolest things about that period then, once I started to actually admit this dream of being a magical business person, is that I only had one human being that I told any of this to, besides, if you don't count my intuitive healing group. That was the person that I started seeing long distance in this period. It was so helpful that they were long distance because I really just needed my space. I didn't need someone up all around my home, Didn't need someone in my rooms. I needed space. But I could share what was on my heart. What was really powerful is that this person was very supportive, but didn't want to be involved and didn't want to be in charge of telling me what to do. Didn't want to be in charge of telling me that was a risk or telling me I should go for it. They really just wanted that to be my business. And that was exactly what I needed. Because I needed to be away from all the people that think they know better than me what I want to do, where I want to go, what's up. So I had this one person who basically just reflected it back, didn't offer anything, just honored and reflected it back. Otherwise, it was a very chironic period because I was being supported by the planets. I was being supported by spirit guides. I was being supported by the voice of them, whoever they are, that talk to me very loudly and help me see what to do, help me know what to do, help me put things together with language. And that is still today how I do so much, is I am in that deep relationship with my channel. So the first client came on and my channel was already really, really solid. There were no humans that were going to be boosting me and validating me. And so that self-fortification with the channel and knowing what I need, which is I need to be able to hear my own voice, and I need other humans to like not interfere with my big visions. I need to be the one that holds boundaries with other humans who don't hold my expansiveness frequency. Learning all that in the quickening time created that habit. It created the ecosystem. It created what I need to be able to move on my visions quickly. Just move on them. Keep the momentum. Keeping the momentum of my visions going with the information that I've got coming in. And over time, I've been able to see how this next step I'm doing may not be exactly where I'm going, but I'm not going to get where I'm going unless I take this step. And the information will get filled in as I go by other people, by other energies, by the circumstances, by what comes up in me as I do the things. And I feel like I'm able to channel so much, and I've been able to build up so much in 7 years because that fortification was really laid in so early. That sense that I am being guided, I am held, I am loved. My job is to know about the human boundary business. Also, just learn to become fascinated with myself, which became the kind of validation that I needed to just open my mouth and take the mic. So that the taking of the mic was an experience of myself, me experiencing myself participating in what fascinates me, that being the thing that has more of my focus than what anybody else might think about it. And that the frequency of that being what is the thing that either magnetizes or repels, and that it will magnetize and repel perfectly without me needing to worry about it. Now, the nuances of that I learned later. Those will be for other chapters. Because getting actually into it, and having evidence to work with brings up all kinds of things for our humanness. And those are the different things that I want to be sharing about in the different chapters of this story that I'll be laying forward as I have time, space, capacity. This quickening time, this emergence time for me was such a mystical period of being guided, but just kind of allowing it to propel me and not understanding what's happening and going with it anyway. And I really just feel like that's so much of where I still am today. I feel like that when I think about the rest of 2025. I feel like that when I look ahead over the next few years. I don't fully know a lot of the time. But I do know that I am loved, I'm being guided, I am held. And it gives me so much pleasure to feel myself participating in that. And then to receive the experience of those who come round it and who allow it to transform them and who share their own transformations with me together. I'm feeling kind of complete then. Thank you. Yeah, I think that that's good for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending a great big hug here in Taurus season, here before the new moon, which just happens to be my daughter's 16th birthday this year. Happy birthday, Arden. Thank you. Until the next one, wishing you the best.